Thank you, Steph, and welcome everyone. And I'd like to share with you a project that we did recently in North Dakota, a pavement preservation project. And in some respects, it was just a typical concrete pavement repair with full depths and partial depths and slab replacements and things like that. But it was kind of unique also in the sense that it also, as you can see from the photos, that there was quite a bit of attention to the center line on this project. So this project was actually on our interstate I-29 north of Grand Forks, and it was about a 14-mile project. And throughout the years, we've noticed that there's been an awful lot of, we've had a couple of CPRs on the project, but pretty pronounced distresses right in the joints, joint area, the longitudinal joints, especially around the curves. It seemed like it showed up a lot. And after further investigation and things, we found that the main problem was actually misaligned tie bars. And when this project was constructed in 1991, there was a mechanical tie bar inserter used, maybe one of the prototypes, and so it was supposed to drop a tie bar, true to or perpendicular to the longitudinal joint mid-slab. And so once it got dropped in there, of course, nobody really knew at that time where it ended up. And you can see that a lot of places it was very shallow, and some places didn't even get across the joint doing any good at all. So, but it did cause some distresses. And some of them, so we, after a few years of this, we, decided we should do something. So just a little bit of history before this. This project was built reconstructed in 1991, 10 inches of 10 inches of concrete, and I just borrowed this from the typicals from that set of plans, and the tie bars were a number 5 bar, 2.5 feet long, and supposed to be spaced every 5 feet at mid panel. And so, after a few years of this and putting up with this, we decided we'd try a couple of prototype projects first to see if it was going to actually work. We'd never done this before, we'd never really went about anything like this. So we wanted to, obviously there was going to be a lot of questions, and as we talked earlier today, we talked a lot with industry to see if something like this could be constructed where we could actually fix something like this. And then we also talked to other states, and in particular MnDOT at that time in 2018, they had a really good detail for fixing their transverse joints on their concrete, and probably still have that one. But so we actually conferred with them on this, and we actually ended up using that detail. We might have had a few slight variations to it, but so we put together a set of plans, and there's the detail that we used for the center line. Quite a few dowel bars in there, as you can see, and some longitudinal reinforcing also. And it was going to be 4 feet wide, and so this is just a kind of a video here of the actual removal. Before this, though, there was, of course, there's obviously the 2 saw cuts across, 2 feet from the center line on each side. And the contractor for this was PCI Roads from Minnesota. And I thought they did a really nice job of coming up with equipment and ways to construct this project. And so they basically took it out, every 15 or so feet, and took it all away and removed it. And then the next step was to, as you can see, that's what it looked like before any rebar was installed, and dowel bars. And so that's one of the machines there they used to drill the holes for the dowel bars. And the dowel bars were 1.25 inches. We went with 1.25 inches by 18 inch. and 1 foot space. Now, one side of the, which was actually on the driver's side, was actually solid there, so they were glued in there, you know. And then the other joint was going to be a working joint, kind of like one big contraction joint. So that's what it looked like prior to the pouring the concrete. So we had, you know, dowel bars in both sides, and then at every joint we had the dowel bars going across there, and then we had some longitudinal joint space or reinforcing also. And then this was also built in conjunction. It was going to have to merge together with some of the other repairs out there, the full depth repairs and things like that. There was quite a bit of that too. And so here's a video on the pouring of the concrete. We in North Dakota, we use, for full depth repair, we use like a double AE, which is a 6.5 bag mix of concrete. And I thought that went pretty well. Curing compound got put on pretty promptly too. So then, you know, after that, they sawed it. And like I said, like I was saying earlier, there was one joint that got sawed, and that was a passing lane, and that's the movable joint, and the other one is solid. So I went out here about 2 weeks ago and took some photos of it, and you know, for all the loads, it's going over every day in I-29. That's a lot of heavy traffic, and I think it's actually holding up pretty well. So we thought this was a success. So that's all I got, and thank you.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.